What it do, beautiful people? Welcome to another edition of the Pop Culture Corner podcast. I go by Big Driip, aka Floyd Mayweather, aka Captain Planet, aka Blacky White, aka 33 Cent, aka Realist Radio. To my left is the one, the only, the light drizzle, the co-host, my co-creator, dare I say, my friend. Light drizzle, however.
Hey, funny story. I went on the vodka stream last night.
Oh snap!
Yeah, and I sent you the pictures. There was a couple kids in there, and they were asking where you were.
Haha, where's Big Driip? I love it.
Then there was that one kid who hates you.
Cool.
Gaming with Greg, he hates you.
Yeah. I love it.
He hates you more than anyone I've ever met.
I love it. Why, is he a Zack Snyder fan?
Yes.
Yeah, there it is. Ding, ding, ding.
I couldn't even. But yeah, some people asking where you were, and
that's right.
Just checking in, and I'll send you. I'm gonna resend you the pictures now.
Yeah, I don't think I saw that.
It was humbling. It was a good experience, and I had a lot of fun last night. We went 4 hours.
Oh my goodness.
11 to 3 a.m.
That's exactly how it went last time when we was on the show together.
Yeah,
we went with him. Yeah,
it was
a long day.
It was a really long night, but
it was fun, and it went by quick. It was fun.
It is fun, and I don't know. It just I like took a nap and everything, and I was rearing to go. So, It was a good time, but yeah. So they were asking where you were. Can
I just say I'm a little enthusiastic and like happy. I have my first that means people are watching our show. Like, he hates me. Like, that means they're watching. You know what I mean?
But there was specifically one that asked. So I'll read it to you.
I love
it. Dark Side. His name. The first one was Dark Side Is. Now that's his name. That's his YouTube name. And he said, big fan of TY. And then he put parentheses Pop Culture 2020. And then the next, he waited like 5 seconds. And then he said, where's Big Driip?
Big Driip, baby.
And then under it, Cameron Harrington said, Ty could voice Desaad.
Who the fuck is Desaad? Who is that?
Dark Side's like boy.
Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah.
I love it.
And then Gaming with Greg wrote, good thing that loser Big Driip isn't on.
Yes. I love it. He still called me Big Driip, though. Yeah. He still called me Big Driip.
And he spelled it right.
I love it. He's a fan. He's a fan.
Oh no. I'm sorry. He didn't spell it right. The first kid spelled it right.
Oh, I love it.
Gaming with Greg said, good thing that loser Big Driip isn't on here. I laughed a lot. It was funny.
I love it. Those were just commentators?
Those are just comments in the comment section.
Love it.
But cool. Another cool story is, so today marks our 85th video. And
what? That's insane.
Yeah. And our 21st podcast episode. Our first video debuted September 20th. And believe it or not, for anyone who's watching, so we wanted to start this podcast around the Wonder Woman 1984 and Black Widow movie releases. Because at the time that we were going to pull the trigger on this, those movies were both pushed back already, but they were both set to come out around that September, October area.
Well,
so we want, yeah. And we were like, okay, this will be good. We can debut the podcast right around those films and use those as like catalysts. Catapult into the industry. Yeah. And it didn't work out that way, but we still started. But I just thought that was funny because, No,
well, at the time we had more of a we were expecting to put more of an emphasis on movie reviews, something we don't do too often. And that's really only because of the lack of releasing films at the moment, especially in our expertise, you know what I'm saying? But at the time the aim was put a heavy emphasis on movie reviews. But as getting into it, we actually started shooting episodes and doing videos. We found a love for just kind of generally doing our thing, right? Just get on the podcast. We just kind of shoot the shit. We have a good time. We break down the news. We do our individual segments. We just, we have a good time. So movie reviews kind of took a little bit of a back burner. Not a whole, but a little bit.
Yeah. And I think it'll get, like, for instance, Marvel's Phase 4 now has 25 projects. 3 of them are full-on Avengers movies. So, like,
wow,
we'll have more time and more movies and shows.
Content. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
To review in the future and to really dive into.
This year alone, our plate is going to be full. If everything releases the way it's supposed to this year, our plate is going to be very full.
Yeah. And
a lot of content.
So not a lot of movies this year, but this is a way to, like, break the ice and get into it.
Yeah.
And, I just want to say that thank you to everyone who's watched. I mean, so I'm playing the video right now, but just the progression from the first episode till now, it's a completely different, we're always learning and always changing to try to better suit what works and what doesn't, taking criticisms and using them effectively. So, in just 4 months, because September, October, November, December, all right, 5 months, but like just on the brink of 5 months. So we've made so many changes, and from the first episode to now, it looks completely different and feels completely different in a good way. I mean, episode 2 is one of my favorite episodes to make.
Yeah. But we came in, so I think the difference is, we have a genuine comfort now, right? Like, I think episode 2, we just happened to be in a really good mood at the time, Like, I went back and I listened to episode 1, and I could, I was aiming at myself personally, looking for, and I noticed the stiffness, right? Not like an awkwardness or anything like that, just kind of stiff, right? Because you're not used to being on camera. You're not used to the microphones and I like the setup and everything, but I wasn't used to it, right? So it was a little stiff, little rusty, kind of, I'm the Tin Man, need some oil in my life type of thing,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I could see that. That's why I highlighted it in this video, or that video is like, you could see the stiffness, and not just for you, but in both of us. And then slowly, and like, I even put the episode that we did with Ray Porter in there.
Great episode.
Yeah. And there was still some mistakes made. Like, for instance, there's a picture behind me, and one of the lights that we use is glaring like super hard off of the picture.
I noticed.
Yeah. So, I mean, mistakes will always be made, and we're only 5 months in. We're still babies in comparison. But,
true.
But yeah, so I just want to say thank you to everyone who supported us and continues to support us, and, find your favorite platform, find your favorite podcast platform, or watch us on YouTube, or both. You can take us on the go with the podcast platforms, or just listen to the audio, or you could sit down and watch the whole YouTube video. Either way, you're supporting the show. Just make sure you follow or subscribe, depending on which platform it is. Leave a review on Apple. And then, on the Spotify's and stuff, you can't leave a review, but you can still like and follow, and just anything that helps contribute towards the success. We would really appreciate that.
Of course, it genuinely, thank you. Honestly, just the fact that you showing up means the world to me. Like, I know I'm beating a dead horse at this point, but honestly, those comments that you mentioned, genuinely, even homeboy calling me a loser, it genuinely warms my heart, because that nice.
That stopped in, or by the time the video ended, there was already like 4,000 watches on it. Nice. And he was just like, that was super, like, he's like, that's really weird. It's usually that's like the end goal, the end number, but that was his pre-number. So there was, he said, the door is always welcome for you guys to come back. And nice. I'll probably, I know it's hard for some people, because 11 o'clock on a Friday night, it's tough. It's it's not like it's tough in the sense of like, there's work tomorrow or something like that, but it's 11 o'clock. I'm 27 years old. You know what I mean? It's
way past that point.
Yeah.
I'm in bed by 8:30. I watch my weather channel, do my crosswords, and I'm in bed by 8:30. That's a wrap.
But actually, something stupid, but just want to catch your feelings on it. So there's this kid that I'm sure nobody knows, right? He's not famous at all, but his name's Jake Paul.
Was that sarcasm? The famous thing? Oh, all right, okay. He's very famous.
Yeah. But Jake Paul knocked out Nate Robinson, a retired basketball player.
Yeah, but not for nothing. Jake Paul is a YouTuber, and not only is he a YouTuber, but he's the epitome of corny YouTube. Right. Yes. And he still managed to, Nate Robinson, he got memed hard.
Yeah, but in that sense, Jake Paul also got his ass beat by that dude KSI.
True. No. That was his brother. Logan Paul.
I have all the facts right here. No,
that was Logan Paul.
No. Because
I'm just on my 100% sure.
The statistics. I watched an interview with Logan Paul, his brother, who is 3-0 in boxing. That wouldn't even make sense. Jake and
I watched that fight.
Yeah, listen. What? Go back and look at it.
Now you're questioning my whole reality.
Yeah. Jake Paul as a boxer is 0-1-1. So 1 loss, 1 tie. Okay. 1 loss, 1 tie, both to KSI. The Nate Robinson one didn't count. Apparently that wasn't a boxing match. But Logan Paul is 3-0 in boxing.
Really? Wow, yes. Dude. Wow, you really just flipped my whole world on my head.
Yeah, and I made sure because Logan Paul did an interview that I watched, and he's calling his brother. He was clowning on his brother, saying, he shouldn't be the one that's fighting him. I should be. If anyone's gonna win, it would be me. My brother is making the sport of boxing look bad. And I agreed with him. So there's a legit date for this fight, February 20th.
Yeah.
Look, maybe Jake Paul is going to fight Floyd Mayweather on pay-per-view.
So I saw a video of Jake Paul, and it was funny because he did the same thing Conor McGregor does, right? Like Conor McGregor, he comes out and he'll wear some Gucci shades and a fur coat, and then excuse my language, but I don't know how else to say this. He calls people a pussy and tells them to fight me, and what are you scared, and blah blah blah. And Jake Paul did the same exact thing in the same exact manner as Conor McGregor, and I thought it was funny because he even tried to look like him, he has the beard and the haircut instead of the ginger, he's a blonde. It's it's really weird, but so I saw the video of Jake Paul pulling a Conor McGregor and calling.
Wait a second.
He threw a $50 million price tag at him. Floyd's gonna say yes.
Wait a second.
What?
You might have been right. I might have it backwards here.
I knew it. Yes, Logan Paul fought KSI. Yes, I watched that fight. I thought it was losing my mind because you can't do that to me, Doug.
Well, they both look the same, and they both have the same, almost the same name.
They definitely are interchangeable. Don't get it twisted.
Wins by knockout, 100% win ratio. I'm so confused.
So Logan Paul.
I specifically made sure I took notes and everything, and I still somehow fucked it up.
So look, this is to my knowledge, my memory. Logan Paul fought KSI twice, I believe, and they each came out with a win. I think. I know KSI won the initial fight, but I think they fought again after that, right?
Okay, well, one of their records is 0-1-1, which is no wins, 1 loss, 1 tie. So the tie is probably what you're thinking of, right?
Probably, maybe. Yeah. So after Logan did it, right, and that was a big event, right? Because they both, KSI and Logan Paul, have a ridiculous number of subscribers, right? Yeah. So a lot of people watched it, and after Jake saw that, he was like, yo, I want to do it too, right? Because you stand to make a lot of money, and he just doesn't want to be known as the cornball anymore, right? He doesn't want to be known as that goofy Disney Channel kid. So now he's pretending he's Conor McGregor to like
Okay,
not
so
be a goofball.
so he's the one who's going to be fighting Floyd Mayweather.
Like Jake, yeah.
Okay, but listen,
Yeah.
so I got into it a little bit more. So there's this guy Dylan Danis, and that's Conor McGregor's boy. They train together and shit like that. And Dylan Danis was doing a press event, and Jake pulled up in a truck and started throwing water balloons at him. Like, this is a legit press event that, like, YouTuber kid pulls up in a truck, says, you know, like, your wife's a whore or something like that.
Oh my God.
And like throws water balloons at him and drives away. You know what I mean? And then,
wait, real quick before you keep going. That's the suburban white kid equivalent of a drive-by shooting.
Yeah. And then Conor, you know, he's doing all this to get Conor McGregor's attention. So he's calling out Conor McGregor, also calling out Conor's wife and him. He's doing little videos on YouTube where he pretends to be Conor McGregor, and he's like pretending to say.
Oh, maybe that was a joke then.
No. The water balloon thing was legit.
No. What I saw when he was like dressing up like him and pretending to.
No. That's the video that I'm talking about, where he also pretends.
Oh, okay, all right.
He also pretends to be Dana White, who is the leader of UFC, in the same video. And like the whole time, he's just poking fun. He's just trying to get a rise out of Conor McGregor. But
yeah.
So the fight with Floyd Mayweather is scheduled, and this dude is gonna get his clock cleaned.
He's gonna. Yeah.
Like,
no. Well, okay. So here's the thing, right?
There's a ladder, right? There's a ladder in boxing that
Floyd's top tier. Yeah, he's top tier.
You know,
so I don't wait. Real quick, okay. So first of all, I don't even understand. So this fight is not gonna go down in like legit boxing. It's gonna be like a celebrity match.
Yeah,
Floyd Mayweather and Jake Paul are in very different weight class. I'm pretty sure Jake Paul qualifies as like middle class or something. Floyd Mayweather is like a welterweight, I think, or a lightweight, I forget. But they're not in the same weight class. I know that much. So it's gonna have to be one of those celebrity, like, oh, this is just like it's for, they'll slap the word charity on it. I guarantee it. Oh, this is for like charity, you know, Save the Unicorns, UK. You know what I'm saying? And Floyd Mayweather is absolutely, he might be pulling punches though. Don't expect, like, if any of you out there watch this, don't expect like a legit Floyd Mayweather fight. You feel me? Like, this is a game. It's a joke. They're just trying to make some money out of us. This is not a real fight. Floyd Mayweather does not take Jake Paul seriously. He's getting a $50 million paycheck, and then he's going to go home. You know what I'm saying? This means nothing to him.
So the Paul brother, he's getting it's like a fraction of the purse, which in boxing terms is like the total amount earned, right? So the total amount of the fight. Jake, the Paul brother, is getting like a teeny bit, and Floyd's getting the rest.
All of that.
But a little fraction of a Floyd Mayweather fight is actually a lot of money.
10 million. Easy.
Yeah. So
easy 10 mil.
So they're both going to come out of it not losing.
Yeah.
But if this kid really wants to come up in boxing, or if he wants to make a name for himself as like, you know what I mean? I don't know if this is the way to do it, to go get clowned, it's basically.
And again, this is not a real boxing match. This is like a joke entertainment thing.
Yeah, like so fighting.
If he really wanted to be a boxer, that's not how you do it.
Yeah, like fighting KSI or fighting his brother or Nate Robinson. I can see where that comes in his benefit, because
yeah.
You know what I mean? He's either making sports people who are retired and like older look dumb or like get beat up, or, you know, the KSI is like two YouTubers fighting, and like whoever wins, but whoever loses, like, you know what I mean? You're still fighting a YouTuber. So it's like, you don't really have any, like, it doesn't go on your record.
We should do that. We'll make a ton of money. We should do it.
What?
Have a boxing match.
Okay.
When we hit, I'm gonna call it 10 million subscribers, we'll schedule a celebrity boxing match.
All right.
I want to fight Gordon Ramsay.
Yeah, I just, I keep coming across it, so I was like, you know what, I'm gonna.
Dude, I think it's hilarious, and you're 100% right. He's not like, this is not how you make a name for yourself in boxing, right? I don't know anything about Jake, but I see Logan quite often, and again, they're interchangeable. They act exactly the same. Logan, every other week, excuse me, geez Louise, every other week, this dude is changing like his thing, right? Like last week, he was like a Pokemon card collector. He was the biggest in the world, blah, blah, blah. He was spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on Pokemon cards. It was insane. Cash money. He was showing up with like 200 racks cash for a Charizard. It was crazy. And then he was like a slap boxer before that. Now he's a boxer. Like, this is just like, they've been on YouTube for a long time now, so they need a way to like kind of stay fresh and like relevant. You know what I'm saying? Getting beat up by Floyd Mayweather is a great way to stay relevant. Yeah. Oh my God, you saw it. There's no such thing as bad publicity, right? If we're talking about him right now, I can't stand this dude. We're having a whole conversation about him.
Yeah, I really can't stand him. And like the whole, like his house got raided like, I don't know, 4 or 5 months ago, and they pulled out like AR-15s and like, you know what I mean, a bunch of ammunition. And it's like, why does that? It's like, but why does he have that? Like, he's not like a thug. He's not like living in the hood. No. You know what I mean? Like,
he's a goofball.
He's a goofball that just like wanted to look cool.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what it is.
And he just got
kids like that.
Yeah, and he brought the government in for no reason. They were like, all right, here's an opportunity to just make this kid look like an idiot.
Yeah.
And they did.
Again, though, he has this thing, like I saw a video of him with 21 Savage, right? And like he has this obsession with rappers. He tries to make music. He's one of those kids. I know you know him. We all know a kid like this. He's from the suburbs. He's been in a bubble his entire life, and he is infatuated with the hood and like thug life and rap music.
I grew up with so many of them.
Yeah,
I mean, I know
big around here.
Yeah, I know you grew up in like a different area than I did, but like I grew up.
I know a lot of those kids too.
Yeah, I grew up in those kids. I grew up in a predominantly white suburban Boston town, and I can still name 5 or 6 kids that are trying to be rappers, and they do shows at like clubs in Lowell and get laughed off the set. You know what I mean? Like I'm not trying to do this because I you know what I mean? Like I didn't take that route. Like I'm not going to go be a famous rapper because I know I'm not Eminem. I'm not even Machine Gun Kelly. You know what I mean?
Machine Gun Kelly can rap.
Yeah, I can do this. Yeah. And I can do this well, and maybe I am not predictable, but keep it playing it safe or whatever. It's just like
in a sense.
Yeah, but I've been to the hood plenty of times. Plenty of times I've been to the hood. That is not a cool place to be.
I don't know where you get this idea from. Like that's the hot spot to be in. It's not.
Yeah,
it's not.
I mean, we grew up in a different. You know, what I mean, we grew up with a different. Like you and I especially grew up in a different, with a different mentality and a different,
we could be more polar opposites.
Yeah, different circumstances, and we both, you know, have had our run-ins with like being in those areas. And I mean, I've seen the hoods in Philly, I've seen the hoods in California, you know, Hollywood.
Cali is that's the. But I've never been afraid in a hood outside of California. I was so scared.
Yeah.
Where I was scared.
The 2 scariest ones I've ever been to were South Philly.
Yeah, South Philly is pretty bad.
And the hood in Hollywood.
LA, baby.
Yeah, that
legendary hood.
Those were 2, and you know what I mean? Like those are 2 literally dangerous places.
Yeah, not a game.
Not a game. And
they don't play.
People that live there, they don't want to be there. You know what I mean? They dream of living that suburban lifestyle.
Yeah, exactly. Everybody, like, I don't see, and that's what it blows my mind because, like, everybody in the hood is trying to, like, rap to move where he is. But he's already there trying to get it. He can fit in there.
Yeah.
You're going backwards.
Yeah,
you already made it.
It's very, very miscued.
You know, as far as like real quick, just because I could go all day about this shit. As far as the music goes, right? I'm not mad at you. You want to be a musician, that's fine. But at no point, like, he only started making music in order to be relevant again. You feel me? There's a disrespect there. If you want to be a musician, by all means, it doesn't matter where you come from. Of course you can rap. I don't care where you come from. Mm-hmm. But you need to, like, look at Lil Dicky. I love Lil Dicky. Straight from the suburbs, Jewish, dorky, white kid. And I love his rapping. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, but Jake Paul and, like, all these other, especially on YouTube, it's really common. It's just a blatant disrespect because you're just doing it for paychecks and recognition. That's it. There's no love for the music, and I hate that. It really bothers me.
For the clout.
For the clout. Do anything for the clout. It really bothers me because I have a real love for music, hip hop included.
Yeah, and I just like I've always like kind of repulsed those people like Jake Paul and Logan Paul, and you know they avoid them. Yeah, I just they always make me angry, and it's like, you know what I mean? You have everything. You have everything you could want, yet you still, I don't know, you make a bad name for people that are like trying. I don't know. It's a weird concept, but I you know, do you, boo, right?
Do you, boo boo? You know why? Because I'm a do me.
yeah. Speaking of rappers, there was a guy, M.F Doom.
Yeah.
So
I'm aware.
He used to wear like Dr. Doom masks in his videos, and like all on his sets and stuff, he would always have a mask on, like the Dr. Doom style mask. Yeah. And that's why he's Doom. I'm pretty sure that's why it's in his name.
Yeah.
But he's a British rapper, and he passed away at the age of 49. Many, including James Gunn, Tyler, the Creator, and so many more paid tribute to him. Really? Yeah, James Gunn, that one threw me off.
Yeah, I was like, what? Yeah, you said it. It was a question. Maybe they know him. Maybe they know each other like personally or something. Maybe James Gunn's a hip hop fan.
Maybe.
Who knows?
I've seen Stranger Things.
I haven't seen it yet. I heard it's a good show though.
It is a good show.
Yeah.
And then here's just a funny. This is just a what if, I guess. So the director Steven Soderbergh, and I mean this guy, you know, he's a very celebrated director. He made movies like 2011's Contagion.
Oh, okay. I like that movie, actually. I like that movie a lot.
He's very experimental. His films are always pushing boundaries, I guess you could say.
Yep.
And he's directing the upcoming Let Them Talk film. He discussed with Happy, Sad, Confused podcast about how MGM courted him back when to get into the Bond movies. However, the celebrated director of 2011's Contagion said his vision for 007 didn't match up with MGM and Eon Productions. The director said that they just couldn't come to terms over some of the important stuff that comes with James Bond. And that lines up kind of with the new run of James Bond, like Skyfall and all those. So it looks like before whoever directed the new ones, they wanted Steven Soderbergh to direct, but they just couldn't come to terms with a couple important aspects of the character. So we could have seen a completely different James Bond than the Daniel Craig one had Soderbergh stepped in, because they would have taken James Bond in a very experimental route.
So what is Let Them Talk? What is that? I've heard nothing of it.
Me either, honestly.
Oh, okay. All right.
I didn't even look into it because it just, you know what I mean? It just didn't even register for me to look into what it actually was.
So like, I recognize the recent Bond run as like, especially Skyfall, right? I love Adele's song, by the way, Skyfall. So I recognize it as like a respectable movie franchise, right? Like they did their thing. It's just not really my cup of tea, right? Like I just don't particularly care for it.
It's never like been, you know, it's never been what I wanted to go watch at the time, or I've never found myself like, oh, really, I'm craving a Bond movie right now.
Yeah, exactly.
But people like my cousin, they're obsessed with it. So
yeah. I mean, it's a huge franchise. It really is.
My cousin Nick and my friend Mike, they like collect all 27 of them, and You know what I mean?
27 Bond movies. My goodness.
Something crazy like that. Yeah.
My goodness.
But yeah, so I mean that's
an absurd number. That's an absurd number of movies to one big budget Hollywood 27. That's insane.
Yeah. Talk about, and like people always are like, oh, how are you gonna reboot? You know, like, oh, I'm so sick of rebooting Spider-Man. It's like, bro, you know how many times they rebooted James Bond?
Yeah, but James Bond gets like this excuse because it's a mantle. Like, so I've heard anyways. I don't watch it, so I don't know. But like, to my understanding, James Bond, including the name and 007, is just like a secret agent thing, you know?
Yeah. Well, 007 is the tag. Yeah. James Bond is a God-given name. Like, that's the part that, because it's like a mantle, but they all seem to be named by their mothers James Bond. So it makes sense on one hand, but on the other one, it doesn't.
Yeah.
And the same thing goes with Doctor Who. Doctor Who has done the same exact thing.
Yeah.
Where
they have.
they change doctors.
Yeah.
And it's a mantle, but same kind of thing. It's technically still a reboot, though.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. No, that's a great comparison. They're actually very similar in the two, in that sense.
Yeah. But you know, it is what it is. And I was actually thinking of going back, and the reason I bring it up is because I will watch the newest ones, maybe, like from the Skyfall saga.
Yeah.
I'd go watch those, but none of the other ones.
Yeah, yeah. No, I wouldn't. If I was to watch anything, it would be the same thing. Because I heard Skyfall was an excellent movie.
And the new one kind of looks great. And it's got my boy from Rami Malek, who is in Mr. Robot as the main villain. So
that's Snafu.
Yeah, I love Rami. He's the best.
Yeah, he was he's Snafu in the Pacific.
Yeah,
excellent HBO miniseries. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. Excellent.
He's also in National the museum movies, Night at the Museum.
Is he?
Yeah, he's the prince. He's like he's the Egyptian prince.
He is. I know exactly. Yeah, I know. That's so funny. I know exactly what you're talking about. Wow.
Yeah. Let's. I liked what we did last week. So, you're not going to do anime this week.
No,
because we're doing a different format. So we had to cut one or two things out.
Yeah. Look, guys. Listen, guys. I don't want to lie to you. I just straight up haven't watched Attack on Titan yet. Sorry, I love you, but I was gonna lie. I don't want to lie to you. I just haven't watched Attack on Titan yet. We've been shameless plug. We opened up our website. I've been writing a lot lately. I wrote a couple articles already. He's written several. Jack has written several. Please go check that out. I think, if I do say so myself, they're very well done. So I and I still work that ugly day job, right? So like I just, there's a lot on the plate. I'm sorry. I promise I'll come tenfold next week. I promise.
Yes. But he's still prepared to get into gaming.
That being said, again, I told you guys we've been writing a lot of articles, and I just wrote one on Universal Japan's latest attraction, which is Super Nintendo World. Oh my God, I want to talk about it again today because I wrote this article, and then earlier today, matter of fact, I saw they released some new details on it, and it looks gorgeous, people. Oh my goodness. Now I went into some detail. Oh, you know what? That's not good. I went into some detail in the article I wrote, but I'll give you guys the general layout. So Super Nintendo World is Universal, strictly Japan for the time being. It's their latest attraction. And the heavy focus is Mario specifically, but it's absolutely gorgeous, guys. I mean, so we got this quick 15-minute tour courtesy of, please don't crucify me for this, Shigeru Miyamoto. I hope I said his name right. He's the father of Mario Drizzle. He created Super Mario. And he gave us a tour, courtesy IGN, of Super Nintendo World. So you enter the park, right? And they like simulated what is the inside of a warp pipe. You remember those, Drizzle? You jump on the pipe and do. You go down the pipe. Yeah, so they simulated what the inside of it looks like. And it reminds me of like warp speed in Star Wars. You know how like the lines of light pass you?
Oh, yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
yeah, yeah,
you know what I'm
yeah.
saying? That's what it looks like. And it's really, really cool. You exit, now you're in Peach's castle, right? And you come out into the daylight. The way I don't know if that's just the way they filmed it or the way it actually looks, but like you come out of the warp pipe, you're in Peach's castle, and then there's this blinding light of sun shining in the doorway. So like you have to step out, adjust, and then you can see. Like one of those classic movie scenes. You know what I'm talking about? You look around.
Yeah, that's pretty sweet, actually.
Dude, it's amazing. Dude, it's amazing. And I don't know if that was just like the cinematography or that's how the park actually is. I hope it is. You come out, you look around, there's giant piranha plants, there's Koopa Troopas, there's Goombas, it's amazing, dude. It's so cool. Now they hook you up with these power bands, right? You put it on your wrist. They haven't specified if you have to pay for this. I'm pretty sure you do, though. Fair warning. You put on your power band wrist, excuse me. And this allows you access to all the games and the activities, and they have all like hidden treasures and all kinds of stuff. Now, again, I went into great detail about all of that in the article. Please go check that out. It's popculturecorner.wordpress.com. I want to talk about what they announced today, which is Mario Kart. There's a Mario Kart track in Super Nintendo World.
So you can drive the cars.
It's a Mario Kart track. Yeah, it's like a little mini kart track. What?
I gotta go to this place.
Oh my god! I titled the article "Super Nintendo World." I'm moving to Japan because of that. Dude, oh my god! Imagine that driving. So recently, Nintendo released
like banana peels and all.
I don't know. They haven't gave us like an actual.
Probably not. Probably not.
No. Don't get it twisted. They do things like this. You know, it'll be like simulated, but it will be present. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So recently, they've been doing a lot lately. Nintendo's been on their game lately. So they released what I believe they called Super Mario Kart Live, if I'm not mistaken. So what it is, it's a little Mario Kart toy, right? And you take the Nintendo Switch, you connect it to the cart, the little toy, and what you do is you build a track in your house out of like little mundane house items like your lamps and your toys and your stools and stuff like that, and you make a Mario track out of it, right? I think you have to drive the cart through the track to like sync it up, right? But after you sync it up, you can play it as like a map on your game. You know what I'm saying? And kind of drive the cart via the Switch. It's amazing, right? So they just really like Nintendo's been on their game because that just released. And now we're getting Super Nintendo World with a Mario Kart track in it. So that's my point as far as like, don't be surprised if there are things like banana peels and mushrooms and blue shells. Like it looks intense.
Right.
Jizzle, you ever been to Dave & Buster's?
No, never.
No?
Yes, obviously I've been to Dave & Buster's.
That's not an obvious. My first time was like 3 weeks ago. That's not obvious. They have a Mario Kart game. You played it?
Yes.
Amazing. I'm picturing hopefully that, but an actual cart. You know what I'm saying?
They have everything. They have like Transformers.
Yeah, they do. They have a
everything.
lot. They do. They have a lot. But Mario Kart, like I was on it for like 2 hours. Like this game is amazing. That's a free plug for you guys, Dave & Buster's. You're welcome.
Mm-hmm.
So this like that wasn't like a joke. That article title, like I'm genuinely considered moving to Japan for the simple fact of Mario Kart in real life. That's I'm in, right? They claim that within the next year or two. So it's set to debut February 4th of this year. That's my buddy of mine's birthday. Rest in peace. They claim, so if it releases this year, February 4th, they claim within about 2022, 2023, we should get a Super Nintendo World, excuse me, in the States. Now, by that point, it's called Super Nintendo World, right? It's not Super Mario World. So I'm hoping down the line, they have plans for additions, right? Imagine like Legend of Zelda, right? Or like a Super Smash Bros. Kind of amusement park or something. You know what I mean? Like imagine them building off of this and branching off of it. Oh God, one can only dream, right? It's amazing. It's
like
amazing.
Universal always has done well,
Yeah.
or like their parks are always so intimate and the details are just so perfect and pristine. Like Mario, I'm surprised this already wasn't a thing. Because Mario is such a pivotal staple to
Oh
pop
yeah.
culture.
Yeah.
That I mean, this is a good idea.
Yeah.
Very good idea.
Yeah. And it's
And
just gorgeous to look at.
yeah,
It's just absolutely beautiful.
yeah, I included some pictures in your article
Oh,
and
nice.
got to see what it looked like and got to see what they have for plans and
Yeah.
I was really impressed.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah.
impressed.
I think a big part of why we haven't seen it up till now, from what I can tell, anyways, what they're using there is very recent technology wise, right? And like being able to do so at like a what's the word I'm looking for? Like a price friendly manner. Like, yeah, I'm sure they could have done it 10 years ago, but the cost would have been 5 times more as to what it is now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I think that's a big part of why we're just now getting it, but we got it. So I'm
Like
happy.
for instance, Universal in Hollywood, they like not their main attraction, but they're a real large
Jaws, right?
no, a large focal point of theirs is Hogwarts.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so you
Nice.
the ride that everyone wants to go on at that specific one, there's a couple different ones. One of them's the Mummy. The Mummy ride is intense.
Yeah.
Really, really intense. Then you have, the Jurassic Park one that everyone knows and everyone loves. You have a Jaws ride, but then there's like the whole time you're in line, you're in Hogwarts. Like
Oh, that's so cool.
you're walking through the Hogwarts castle, getting to the
Yeah.
top, and then when you get to the top, you get in these little pods, and it's a VR ride, and
Oh, cool.
you're playing Quidditch. Then you're,
Oh, cool.
but the whole time you're dropping back down the castle through this VR, this ride.
Yeah.
And the whole ride is set up with big giant screens, and the way you don't really actually like go down and fly like a regular roller coaster. It's simulating that, but because of the coupling of the animatronic like pod that you're in and the visual screen that it shows you, you feel like you're going 100 miles an hour. It's insane.
Yeah.
So
my guess
got
is,
out.
Oh no, I'm sorry. By all means.
I got out of the ride and I got on my knees and touched the ground because that's how intense it was.
Ooh, one of those.
The Transformers ride was the same thing. I was so during the Transformers ride, it's the same thing, VR, and your cart's just moving with the screen and jumping forward and backwards and up and down and diagonal, but it's not actually moving. But at one point, Optimus Prime throws you through the sky, fire blasts through the screen, and then they have hot air that blows onto your face, and it's all 3D.
Holy guacamole.
You see the fire come by you,
and then you feel it.
And then you feel it on your face. By the time I got off that ride, I was like, holy, it was another world. It was absolute Universal's, and I can't wait to see what they do with this.
Yeah. I've never been, so I don't know the layout.
But it's amazing.
The way you just explained Hogwarts, that's what new Super Nintendo, it sounds very familiar. Jeez Louise. They have all kinds of little activities, right? Little games you can play and little stuff like that. And then they made abundantly clear that there is a boss battle with Bowser Jr. And I'm assuming that will be the ride itself.
Yeah. And so Universal Hollywood, you can go to the Quickie Mart and get it's like a regular convenience store.
Yep.
You go into the Quickie Mart and get your Coke, or you go to the restaurant, they serve Duff beer. I've seen that. Yeah. They are very good about incorporating everything. So, with the Mario thing, it's just, this is just a win. This is just going to be a
absolutely. And it's genuinely like frustrating because Japan just gets everything I like. And I don't get any of it. We don't get none of it. If it's popular enough, they'll bring it over to the States. But if it's only like if it doesn't, the numbers they want don't show, they're not going to bring it over here. You know what I mean? It's going to stay in Japan. But it's Super Nintendo world. The numbers will show. It's coming. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I personally, I would love to check that out. I love Universal. So
dude, it's not Universal Japan is 7,800 yen, which translates to roughly $76. We can go.
Yeah,
I'll take a boat. I'll take a boat to Japan if I have to.
It's roughly what it is for the United States.
Oh, really? I figured it'd be more.
No, so the regular pass is like 75. You can get like a quick pass for like 150. Okay. But the quick pass is like, for instance, when I went to Hollywood Universal, I was alone because I was out. I was visiting my cousin, my cousin who was a Marine. So he was still active duty. So during the day, like 4 out of the 30 days I was there, I was kind of by myself. So I got on a bullet train, the Amtrak, and I just went to Hollywood. Nice. And I went to Universal alone, and I had the greatest time ever.
That's awesome.
Like I was alone, and I had the best time I've ever had.
Absolutely. Honestly, I think I would have more. Like I think in my preferable situation would either be just me or just me and you.
Yeah.
Like it's only one other person, if anybody. Because I absolutely, I think that's how you optimize. You max out your fun levels is being alone.
Yeah, you don't have to wait for anyone else.
Yeah, nobody dragging you down. You just do what you want to do.
Yep. Ain't no one got to pee because it was great. It was
and a lot of parks have a single rider policy, right? Like skip a line thing.
Yeah, so I basically got a quick pass.
Yeah, because you're alone.
Because I was alone, and I would go to the single rider line, and I would usually get paired up with like 9 times out of 10, it was a little kid who was there with his mother.
Yeah.
And it worked out for both of us because I got someone to go on with, and the mother didn't have to go on with the kid because she didn't want to go.
Yeah.
And like, you know what I mean? Like me being me, I'm very friendly, and like, we would sit and talk in line and like, just
just kind of
shoot the shit.
Yeah.
And,
of course.
And like they have like a Walking Dead thing. I genuinely had one of the best days I've ever had in my life, and that was I was with.
God, I want to go.
Yeah, it was truly something, and I got to go to the after I left the park because I got to the park at like 10 a.m. I was done by 3 because I had done everything so quickly.
Yeah.
And then I just went to Hollywood, the Hills. I saw the Hollywood sign.
Yeah.
I was still, I was drinking back then, so I had a couple beers at like a bar that overlooked the Hollywood sign. Like it was a great day. It was
nice.
a great day.
Nice. Nice. California living, baby.
Yeah, I really, that's why I want to go back to California because like, there's just like, that's where I should be.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I loved California. California was by far the best thing I've ever done with my life. It was amazing. I loved everything about it. I was in Sacramento, and a big part of where I was water parks. Them bad boys was everywhere. And I love me a water park. I can't swim, but I love me a good water park. I love me a good water park. And they're everywhere in Sacramento. And every 5 seconds we'd just be like hanging out and just, you know what, we're gonna go to the water park. It was like $25. We'll go there, hang out for the day. It was amazing. It was amazing.
Just good times. Hot. Good times.
Yeah. Times we don't have in Boston.
Yeah, because everything's so frigid and cold. And people are like, I fucking hate it here. I fucking hate everybody.
But in the summertime, don't get it twisted. In the summer and the fall, Boston's beautiful. It really is. But in the winter, it's ugly. It gets ugly.
People are just so mad that it's so cold, and they just take it out on everybody. And
that happy-go-lucky tune changes real quick when it gets cold outside.
they get in their cars in the morning because they don't have a push to start to like get it right.
Yeah,
and they're just sitting there waiting for it to warm up, and they're just like, ah!
I hate my life.
Yeah, and like it doesn't get warm until you're 20 minutes into your ride. You're already at work by then. So
yep. just to kind of get cold again.
Yeah. It's truly a special place.
It is. I feel like, honestly, Drizzle, when we do leave, I feel like I would miss Boston at times.
Oh, yeah.
It has its charms.
I'd probably come back here like for months at a time.
Yeah. I got family. Everybody I'm related to is here or out west, so I have to come back. But like, I feel like I'm only saying this because I shit on Boston quite often. But like, it does have its charm. People, like, for y'all that don't live here that are watching, like, don't be like, just don't listen to us, right? We're just, it's winter time. That's why we're talking shit right now. But come visit. It's nice. You'll like it. It's pretty. Yeah. You get to watch the foliage.
The history is very rich.
And deep. Yes.
And deep. And like, I feel like everyone talks crap about the place that they live, right? Like, even if you're living if you're living in Hollywood, you're like, oh, why is everything burning all the time? You know what I mean? Like
too soon, Jizzle.
It's just where you live is where you live, and you
only you can prevent forest fires.
Yeah, stop throwing your cigarettes out the highway.
I don't know, from when I can tell, it's like if the wind is a little too sharp, things are going ablaze. It doesn't take much. Or if you don't brush your teeth that morning, you got hot, stinky breath, bam. 100,000 acres are lost.
Yes. 3 people. Bunch of cows. It's just terrible.
Poor cows.
But yeah, you know what I mean? It just depends on where you live. Like that's what your viewpoint is on.
No, you have a solid argument with that one. You're definitely right. People always talk shit about where they live, especially if you grew up there.
But this is a promise to you right now, the viewer and the listener, is this show is going to relocate to California. It's just a matter of time. Not if, when.
When. It's a when. Show or not, I had every intention of getting out of here.
Yeah, I almost got up and left a couple of years ago. There was, a couple personal, there was a couple personal things that kept me here, but I had to better my life and be in a position where I am able to go. But now it's, now especially. So anything else with Mario? Nintendo?
No. If you want to learn more, go check out my article, popculturecorner.wordpress.com.
Yep, it's free beta testing. We're just getting the feel for having a website before we pull the trigger. Testing out a couple different platforms.
Yeah, we might even double up. We're window shopping.
Yes, window shopping. Yes.
Mad at me. You see me drive by.
So it is time for TY's TV time. Oh, I just dropped something on myself.
You know what we should do? You know what would be great? A little animation for your TV time is an old-timey TV with the knobs. They change the knob. Then you pop up. You know what I'm saying?
I'm sure I can find it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm definitely sure I can find it.
Yeah.
So for TV this week, I have been watching Chilling Adventures of Sabrina Part 4. And I must say, I am very sad that this show is ending. Or it's ending in its current form. So remember when we talked about like what this show is?
Yep.
It's like a twist on the teenage witch.
Yep.
Episode 5 finds and this is kind of a spoiler, not necessarily. It's not going to ruin the plot of anything for you, but episode 5, they had one of the most brilliant cameo callbacks that I've ever seen in my life. All of a sudden you're sitting there and there's 2 Sabrinas at this point. From last season, there's 2 Sabrinas. Like there's Sabrina Morningstar, which is Lucifer's daughter. And then there's Sabrina the Teenage Witch. Okay. And the universe is like really pounding them at this point. Like there should not be 2 of you. So they have to send one away. And guess where they send her?
To the sitcom.
To the sitcom, bro.
I love it.
The aunties show up from the original and everything.
Really?
Like she goes through this little, like she goes through a mirror. Like they do like a spell, send her through the mirror. She ends up in a different place. And then all of a sudden the original aunts walk into the door and they're like, hey, Sabrina. And then the laugh track comes on. And like,
really?
Bro.
That is a dope cameo.
Quick, too.
Dope, yeah,
it was about a minute long, maybe a minute long. Blink and you'll miss it. Equipped with everything.
It's welcome. I like that. That's a good cameo.
I just sat there and I was like,
wow. Yo, they just did that. They really just, it's funny. That's crazy that's where that went, because I was going to ask you, like, do they take any shots at the sitcom? Do they like callbacks or anything? But there it is.
And they made it wasn't just fan service. Like they made it make sense to what was going on in the story.
Yeah.
So they kind of explained why the sitcom exists, right? Like in a way they created a universe for her to go.
Yeah.
And like that's where the sitcom takes place. And like obviously we know that's not how it really is, but now it makes sense and it allows for the two shows to exist. And I thought it was just really clever and really well done. It wasn't overly corny.
Multiverse done right.
Yeah, and it slapped hard and it slapped quick and you were just like, oh, because like you weren't expecting it either, because like she like kind of like plops into the room and she's like, and she's like looking around and all of a sudden through the door comes the two other aunts from the sitcom and they're just like, oh, hey, Sabrina. And then the laugh track comes on and that's it. And then it fades to black, boom, out of there. Wow. And I was like, wow, that was really, really well done. Like it didn't like you said, it didn't overstay its welcome.
Yeah.
It didn't try to be too much. It didn't try to include it in like its actual story, but the way they blended it was just oh my god, very, 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 very good.
Well
and
done. It's like getting a fade from a great barber.
Yeah.
Blended just beautifully. No lines.
And overall, I'm only on episode 6 right now because I had to stop. But I gave part 1 like a 90%. Part 2 I gave like an 83%. Part 3 I kind of dropped it down to 79. But part 4 is back up at the 88% so far. Overall, this show does a really good job of telling a story, telling a mature story, and telling a story that you'll be engaged in the whole time. And you'll want to keep watching. Like the way it puts a twist on something that you would kind of look at and be like, well, Sabrina the Teenage Witch was kind of like corny, but it turns it into a completely different thing. From episode 1, scene 1, you know that this is not the Sabrina you knew. They're chanting some like devil stuff in the woods on the opening scene. Yeah. And all of a sudden, like this big hoofed, like what they usually use for like the devil, like the creature.
Yeah.
Like all of a sudden all of a sudden that thing just shows up and you're like, yeah, this is not Sabrina the Teenage Witch.
Yeah, it's definitely not a sitcom.
and just the show is overall, it had its low points. Some of the stuff's corny. I mean, she's a 16-year-old girl, so there's drama.
There's gonna be that inclusion.
But overall, this show is really, really good, and I recommend it very highly. I'd be surprised if HBOmax doesn't at least consider picking it up, because it is a Warner Brothers made show. That's why Netflix is giving it the axe. It's not because viewership's down or there's no more stories to tell. They're just not going to make a show for a competitor anymore.
Yeah. Fair point.
I'd be very surprised if HBOmax didn't at least consider bringing it on. And creating part 5.
They need as much as original content as they can get. Because thus far, right now, all they're doing is playing on our nostalgia strings, especially on the DC end of it. So they need some original content.
we talked about that in depth last night on Vodka Stream. So Walter Hamada is the head of DC Films. And for the most part, he took over in May 2020. For the most part, he hasn't done anything. What is his job right now? He's just sitting around twiddling his thumbs. I mean, if you think about it,
he's really giving all he's doing is this and this, right? Like they make everything, they put it together, they present it to him, right? They say it's a movie, right? They all put it together, all the actors, directors, producers, they make the entire film, they show it to him, and he gives it a thumbs up or a thumbs down. That's it.
I'm also talking about, like, for instance, Disney just announced 30 plus projects that are going to theaters and going to Disney Plus.
Yeah.
Walter Hamada has not really greenlit anything from the DC side to go to HBOmax. He even said in an interview that HBOmax is a secondary complementary service and that the more risky projects will go to HBOmax. And then he had the audacity to quote Static Shock and Batgirl as risky projects. So at a time where people are so obsessed with being politically correct, you just quoted a black-led show and a woman-led show as risky.
Well, okay. Well, that aside, Batgirl definitely qualifies as risky. I'm willing to bet Batgirl doesn't get that too much viewings. Static Shock, on the other hand, absolutely would. Nostalgia alone, there's an army of us showing up to watch that show. Absolutely. Everybody who grew up with, like me, I grew up watching Batman the Animated Series, Justice League Unlimited, Static Shock, the Spider-Man show, all those cartoons, those Saturday morning cartoons. So all of it Static Shock. Batgirl, on the other hand, not so much. Batgirl is a side character, the same way Robin is. Robin can't get his own show either. It's not because she's a girl, it's because she's a sidekick. I don't want to watch a show about a sidekick. I wouldn't watch Robin's show either, you feel me? Unless it's Red Hood. I'll watch a Red Hood show. That's about it, though. Maybe Nightwing, maybe. But Batman's the main focal point. You know what I'm saying? Static Shock is his own hero. He's not somebody's sidekick. He's his own hero. He should absolutely get a show.
But for the most part, Walter Hamada is supposed to be, so like Kevin Feige, right? People know who Kevin Feige is because he is consistently involved. He's always coming out with the baseball cap on and saying, here's what we got going on.
Yeah. He's the one presenting it to us.
Nobody knows who Walter Hamada is because he hasn't greenlit anything. He hasn't. Now he's saying, oh, we're going to get 4 films per year and 2 HBO projects. Well, what are they? What are we getting besides the stuff that we already knew about and the stuff that you kind of inherited?
Yeah,
he hasn't.
Fandom.
The only movie that he's technically credited with beginning to end as being like the head of it, the Kevin Feige of it, is Birds of Prey. And that's all he's given us. Oh, and the Joker movie with Joaquin Phoenix, but he also screwed Warner Brothers on it by dividing the profits 3 ways.
Wait, Walter was around for Joker?
Yeah, but he tried to contest it. He didn't want to do it. He didn't know. He was saying, why do we need this? Like, why? Yeah. He kind of, but he was so new at his job that he didn't know how to fight it. So it went ahead anyway and got made, and thank God.
Yeah, God, what an excellent film.
But he also screwed Warner Brothers on it because he made sure that they sold. So with Joker, they sold it to a third-party production company, and Todd Phillips made it. So they made as much money out of that $1 billion box office revenue. They made as much as they did for Birds of Prey.
Oh, imagine that.
So their only $1 billion project wasn't even technically theirs. So Walter, you are literally irrelevant, and you are not going to be around much longer. I can promise you that.
Step your game up, Pimpin'.
He's already got 1 foot out the door. I mean, you got guys like Jason Kylar on it, who runs HBO Max, greenlighting the Snydercut, taking chances, maybe the Snyder Cut doesn't work, but at least he's trying and getting DC projects out there.
For all of you out there wondering, why can't DC perform like Marvel? Listen to everything he just said. He just said that's why, because they have, you know, their head of DC, their head of film is 1 foot out the door. He's only half-assing it. They take it, you know, the dude that is greenlighting things, he's not even certain of them. He's kind of, I'm not sure if this is gonna work. I'm gonna roll the dice on it though. That's why DC is failing, because they can't get, there's no consistency with DC. There's no solid ground. They didn't build a foundation before they started throwing everything at us, right? They just assumed because of guys like us, I keep doing that are DC fans, that they already had this empire. You didn't. Marvel had to build that empire. They didn't just have it because of comic book fans like us. They had to get the normies in. You have to too. You need some consistency. You need a foundation, and then build your building. You're in no rush. I think that's the problem. I saw that.
You did, right? That scared the shit out of me.
I saw that. That was weird. Spooky, scary.
Yeah.
In January. I think you need to pump the brakes. So, Walter, if you're watching, because you're still ahead of things right now, pump the brakes, slow down, take a look back, build your foundation. Stop just throwing random shit at us that you don't know what it is, if it's going to work. You have no kind of canon. Continuity isn't even a factor anymore with the whole Snyder Cut and this and that, Patterson and him and fucking Todd Phillips. It's ridiculous. Get your shit together. Build your foundation and give me some good DC movies. So I'm getting sick of this.
Yeah.
I'm starting to get mad.
I think that Jason Kylar honestly should be the one to take over, and because the problem with Warner Brothers is now that AT&T owns them, they have people that are doing irrelevant jobs, right? So AT&T had a head of film, right? Yeah. And Warner Brothers had a head of film. When AT&T bought Warner Brothers, now they have 2 heads of films, right? So one of them's not doing shit. The other guy is just standing around. You know what I mean? So they need to, that's why we heard about so many people getting fired, because they were cleaning house. Yeah.
AT&T came in, just kind of swooshed.
So right now is kind of the transition process, but you still need to be putting content out. You can't just say that HBOmax is a secondary service, because then you got guys like Jason Kylar, who that's their whole service, right? That's their primary job, is to focus on HBOmax. You can't call it secondary. You're undermining your own company.
Yes, you are. You really
by
are.
Saying it's secondary.
And how does that help you? How are you benefiting from that? I was just about to say it. Undermining is the perfect word. This is your company. You run this. You're just as much as HBOmax as you are on the theatrical release side of it. So why are you putting him down? Why aren't you working together? The two of you need to come together and put your heads together. Yeah. And at the same time, you just told us that 8 of your upcoming movies are going to be released directly to HBOmax. But you're telling me HBOmax is secondary. Yeah. How are you going to gain subscribers like that? How are you going to gain consistent fans with inconsistent words?
Yeah.
And promises.
So when you look across the pond, right? And I said this last night on the vodka stream. When you look across the pond and you look over to, and this is where I wouldn't mind if you did look at Marvel and see what they do in terms of business, not copying what their films are like, but in terms of what their business ideas and models are. Because you have Kevin Feige, right? He is the head of the dragon, and he makes the whole dragon work and move, and he focused on the films, got them to a coherent, cohesive, well-oiled machine that really doesn't need his focus right now. What needs his focus is streaming. So he's taking his eyes off the movies, which he's already built as an empire that doesn't technically need him anymore. And he's going to look at the TV and the streaming, and he's going to connect it all. Pretty soon, they're going to be blowing you out of the water on every single front.
Yeah, because now Kevin Feige's building that streaming service before you even built your original. So they're going to have 2 titans before you even make your first mech suit. You need to get your shit together and start building these empires. It's again, he just said the same thing I said. You need to build. You can't just, it doesn't just magically appear. And it's a shame that a poor kid from Boston is giving you business advice that you should know on your own. And I'm not wrong. I know I'm not wrong. You need to build first. You can't just assume that we're going to support you when you're giving us nothing. You've given us essentially nothing.
Like, for instance, you can greenlight Black Adam. You can greenlight The Suicide Squad. Those are The Flash. Those are great projects. But you can't just be relying on those films, right? Like, oh, but we have these coming. Like, well, when? Because
I don't even have a I don't have a trailer. I don't have a date. I have nothing.
2021 is a complete mystery in the eyes of Warner Brothers DC side of things. No one knows when anything's coming out. But then you look at Marvel. I know what's coming out for the next 10 years.
Yep.
Like, come on. Like, you gotta give us something, and you gotta build. The multiverse cannot be what it was for the comic books. It cannot be a cop out. It can't, because if you run it that way, you're gonna fail.
Yeah, absolutely.
Make it work. Comics. Make it work.
Yeah, this is not comics. It's not going to work the same way. Not in film. Not when you're trying. You got to understand, like, comics, you don't have to attract normies. In the films, you do. You need those normies in order to bring in the money so you can keep doing these things. Yeah. Normies are not going to go for cop-out nonsense like Crisis. It's just, or the New 52. That's not going to fly. You need... Again, it keeps boiling down to consistency. Give us some reoccurring, like once in a while, giving us a good movie is not good enough, especially on the DC end of it.
And like, say what you want about Zack Snyder. Say what you want about his films and whether you like him or not. But at least when he was doing the movies, I at least knew what a DC movie was going to look like or feel like, or I knew where they were going with it, right?
There was some continuity there. Fair enough.
You know what I mean? Like, at least there was a cohesive plan that was in play. Now,
there was something.
Now you got Birds of Prey, Shazam. Now we're doing the Snydercut again. You know, like Justice League. Like, you're bouncing too much. Now you're. You know what I mean? Like, at least when Zach was at the helm and creating what your main continuity was, like, you might not have liked it, but you knew. Like, okay, this is what a Marvel movie is, and this is what a DC movie is right now. At least there was something.
Yeah, it was something. Absolutely. And not only that, now, and I was just thinking this as you were saying it, Shazam and Birds of Prey are great examples. There is no definite, we are just kind of out here assuming, but there is no definite that those are even connected, that they even share the universe. In Marvel, there is not a single question whatsoever that all of these things touch, and there's a connection, and there's a line somewhere, there's a piece of yarn somewhere, somehow. Yeah. DC, I can't say that. Birds of Prey and Shazam are perfect examples. There is nothing telling me 100% those movies are connected, other than maybe some dumb reference.
Yeah.
If that much is even present.
Yeah.
That's not okay in your DC Comics extended universe. But I can't even say with confidence that these are in fact connected.
Yeah. And then your $1 billion film of the year isn't even your own. Like, come on.
Boom. Just boom.
I hope, and you know me, Justice, I'm usually the optimist where I'm like, all right, I'm in, like, you know what, just give me some movies and whatever, you know what I mean? I'll sort it out from there. But now I'm getting frustrated. And like,
I love DC.
The more I hear, the more I get frustrated.
Yeah.
And Jason Kylar comes from Hulu and he comes from Amazon, right? And the reason he left there was because that he had all these ideas he was the reason Hulu got to where it was, and they wouldn't let him continue because Disney bought Fox, right? And they didn't want him to make Hulu into like what Netflix is, because they knew that they were going to bring in Disney Plus. So they didn't want Hulu at a place where it could compete. And like, So he was like, all right, I'm out. I'm going to go help someone who wants my help.
Yeah.
Now he's over at HBO Max kind of getting the same treatment, but in like a backstabby kind of way, because your business model doesn't, you have too many chefs in the kitchen.
Yeah.
Take advantage of him while you got him, because he's very, very, he pushes boundaries. He is experimental. He's not afraid to take risks. I think you could utilize a person like that. For instance, guess who his idol is? Walt Disney himself.
I was going to say that. That's
who
funny.
Jason Kylar, like he has said it several times, like Walt Disney is the person that he envies the most. Like Walt Disney, you would see Walt Disney at the theme park picking up trash because, and like the employees would see Walt Disney, the creator, picking up trash. So they'd be like, oh, wait, maybe I should pick up some trash.
It's
like
a love for your product.
He led by example, and he wasn't afraid to get dirty while doing it.
Yeah.
So that's who Jason Kylar wants to be, or kind of bases like, all right, how would I do this? How would Walt Disney do it? So you got this guy, you got this
idol is Walt Disney. Why did you get rid of him?
Yeah.
Why did you take him to Disney Plus? I don't get that.
Yeah. From the opposite side, I don't. I don't know.
I'm sure he mentioned that in his first interview.
Yeah.
Like, I love Walt Disney. Like, why'd you sent him to Warner Brothers?
Yeah.
Your direct competition.
Yeah. So, it's just getting a little frustrating because like HBO Max,
it really is.
HBO Max could be, it's going to be a good service no matter what.
I think it's currently a good service now, but they still have that fresh nostalgia string to play me on. And that's why I like it so much right now. But in the near future, after I watch the animated series and Batman Beyond, by the time I'm done with that, you better have something new for me.
Right? Like, you're going to get, so you want me to get excited for the Batman, the animated series going to HBO Max? Okay. Awesome.
I am excited.
Awesome. That's great. But that's what I get.
That's it. No, fair enough. That's all I get. Really.
Something I watched 10, 20 years ago. Come on.
Again, they're just pulling on their nostalgia because they have nothing.
Yeah.
That's why.
When you have projects like Justice League Dark, or maybe bring back Swamp Thing, because that show was dark and amazing. It was truly awesome. And you could, you have all that stuff. It just needs to be tapped, and it needs to be invested in, and you need to get your eggs in the basket and figure out where you want to go.
You know what? If they had their shit together as of right now, what would have happened was we would have got some original content with the animated series on top of it. Oh, hey, here's this new show for you, and once you finish season 1 of that, bam, here's some nostalgia for you too.
Picture this.
They don't have their shit together. All they're giving us is nostalgia. That's it.
Picture this. Now, this is going to put it really into perspective for you. HBOmax, their golden egg is the Snydercut, something that is technically 4 years old, something that you guys messed up in the first place, and now you're recycling it. But your golden egg is something that you wanted nothing to do with 3 years ago.
Imagine that
you actively seeked to avoid the tone of. You distance yourself so far from Zack Snyder that
we got a hot mess.
That we got whatever. Mess. But now that's your golden egg, right?
Imagine that.
Full circle, and it, you know what I mean? Like, it serves you right for making the mistakes in the first place, and like Snyder or not, at least he's consistent, so.
But it's a sad day that's all we get. That's all we get.
I mean, I'm happy about it. So.
I know you like Zack Snyder, but from my end of it, that's all.
Basically, what they're saying is.
Yes, I understand Zack Snyder's continuity.
Basically, what they're saying is, oh, you're going to get everything, though. You can go to the CW and watch Superman and Lois, which looks like hot garbage.
It is. I can say with confidence that show is going to be bad.
Have you seen the trailer yet?
Yeah. Yeah,
Oh,
it looks
it's
awful.
bad.
Ugh.
It looks like a worse version of Smallville. And that's come on.
Smallville was corny. Let's be real.
Yeah.
Everybody watched it, but it was corny.
But like that's their whole game plan right now is like we're gonna have a Superman for everybody. We're gonna have a Batman for everybody. We're gonna have all these characters for everybody. Yet all I see is like empty promises so far.
Yeah.
Like cool. We're getting a couple Batmen.
But is that cool? Like you can't just give us one Batman that everybody likes. You know what I'm saying? Well, Batman's a bad example because it's hard to please Batman fans, right? But you can't give me a Superman that everybody across the board likes. You know what I'm saying? Marvel did it. I know we keep bringing it up, right? I know, and you guys watch it and probably sick of it, but it's the best comparison we have. Imagine if Marvel did that. We had like 8 different versions of Captain America, the one for the MCU, and then he has a show on like Bravo or some nonsense television network like CW. You know what I mean? And then we have one on Disney Plus that's separate. And those don't. Imagine if Marvel did the same thing DC is trying to do right now. Instead of just giving us one solid character that can travel through all of, he can present himself in all different platforms and be likable. God forbid, right?
Yeah, it's truly. I mean,
only DC can pull this. Really,
it is the golden age of like being a comic book movie or a comic book film fan, but it's also like frustrating when, like you see it one way and you see how it could prosper, yet the company that's supposedly in charge of like bringing great content to you is just absolutely like falling on their face.
Yeah, they're lackluster.
Speaking of HBOmax though, his Dark Materials, good show. It just wrapped up its season 2. Did a really good job. It's a show with a budget, so they got a little bit better this year as far as like having their demons in all the shots. And like last year, a couple people complained that's like, well, if you have this animal that follows you around all the time, it's your soul. How come like 3 or 4 times I've seen people without them when they're not supposed to be? Well, it's because we don't have the budget for that yet. This season, they definitely fixed that. VFX are really caustic. They cost a lot of money. So season 1, not everyone was on board yet. So season 2 did a lot better of a job. Season 2's story, I think, could have been a little bit better or a little bit paced differently to do a better job. But I had a good time watching it. I was satisfied, and I looked forward to it. So as far as like getting the job done, I think you did. I'd probably give season 2 86, 87%. So
that's a high number.
It is a high number because it is a really good series. It's just some of the pacing issues I had an issue with. Vikings, which is a show that I love.
History Channel, right?
Yeah, except when they kill. So Vikings did what no show really dares to do. And they killed their main character early on. Really? Like season 4, their main character, the person that people came to watch, they killed him. And then the show transitioned to his kids.
Okay.
Which that's where you lost. Rare. Yeah, you kind of lost me on it too. I watched the first season without Ragnar, and then I watched the half of the previous season to this one. Yeah. And I'll finish it eventually, but once Ragnar was gone, like nothing was holding me there. He was the best part of the show. He's the Viking, Ragnar's son. Like he's the Viking people know.
Ragnar's son?
Well, it's Ragnar Lothbrok in this show, but the like actual lore on the Vikings, was a Viking, Ragnar Ragnarsson, and he was an absolute savage, and he paved the way for like the Vikings and the Saxons like meeting, and like then there were Vikings like who adopted Anglo-Saxon traditions and vice versa. But he's the one that took them from Norway and brought them into like Europe. So he's a very famous Viking. But it's not, it can't even be proved that he actually existed.
I see.
which is an interesting kind of tidbit.
I
by the
see.
way.
So I've seen the child thing, but typically speaking, the series will end and then it picks up with the children, right? That's how Naruto lost me. Actually, Naruto did the same thing. The series ended, and then Boruto was released, and it's about his kid, and I hate his kid, so I stopped watching.
Yeah.
Same thing.
But yeah, so Vikings season 6 is now playing, and it will be the final chapter in this story. Vikings star Alexander Ludwig took over for Ragnar as the main character way back in season 4 after Ragnar was killed in a series-altering twist. So this is the final season of Vikings. Vikings seasons 1 through 4 are great. If you do want a show that was like all around good, The Last Kingdom on Netflix includes Ragnar and all the lore that came with it. It's kind of the same characters, it's just a different story. And I thought The Last Kingdom, I mean, Ragnar in Vikings was a one of a kind. Like, he was perfect, literally perfect. And then, they kind of cast in The Last Kingdom, it's a different person that plays him. So like, it takes a little bit getting used to. But overall, I would watch The Last Kingdom all the seasons rather than Vikings seasons 1 through 4 and not getting the complete story.
Okay. All right.
So it's kind of up to you, or watch both. Basically, Vikings was like a cousin of Game of Thrones. Like, that's how I saw them.
Okay. Yeah.
A lot of that energy and like great cinematography and just like absolutely captivating stories.
It's just more Nordic rather than the English kind of.
Yeah, and Game of Thrones was like up here. Vikings was like right below it.
Okay.
But they always were you know what I mean? They were always tied to me together because for some reason, I can't really tell you why, but they had two very good shows. So if you like Game of Thrones, but you want a maybe a little bit more realistic show, Vikings definitely is for you.
Okay.
Yeah, very, very good show.
It's on the History Channel. I like the idea of having a plotted, scripted show on the History Channel, especially use Vikings as an example, because now it's more historically accurate, but with that same kind of like you said, Game of Thrones kind of look and feel to it.
Yeah.
I like the idea of that, and I think history should do more of that.
So at one point, right, there's this thing called the Blood Eagle. A Blood Eagle is, you do this to somebody, right? So somebody that like disobeys you, or not disobeys you, but betrays you. Basically what you do is you cut from their bottom of their spine all the way up to the top of their neck, and then you crack the rib cage from the back. So then your bones look like an eagle wings, right?
Oh my goodness.
They showed this on Vikings. I almost threw up how realistic it looked. And like how they do such a good job, like gagged straight up. And like, it was like this whole ritual. They were like, they had a fire built and they were all chanting. Yeah. And he sticks the knife in this dude, pulls up to his neck, rips his rib cage open.
Hey,
Eagle.
Hey, I want you to understand real quick just the raw strength it takes to put a knife into somebody and rip up.
Yeah.
Unless you have the sharpest blade, unless you have a lightsaber, that's going to be very hard to do.
Yeah.
So the sheer strength, like, you're not slitting, you're tearing.
Yeah.
And then cracking them open like a lobster shell. That's intense.
Yeah, it was
that's intense. That is intense.
It made me quiver for at least like 20 minutes after watching it. I was just like, I never want to see a Blood Eagle again.
That's awesome. I'm gonna give you one.
Yeah. Look up that video. Look up the video, just the Blood Eagle. It's terrible.
Blood Eagle. I like gore.
Yeah. So jumping over to the movie side of things. Woo!
We did a lot this week. We've been going. We spent like a half an hour just talking about Jake Paul, and then we went on this DC rant that went for a solid 45 at least.
This is quick though. I'm gonna make this quick because we still have the Green Lantern spotlight. So Patty Jenkins issued an apology over Cheetah. Yeah, should apologize for the whole movie, son.
Yeah, really, seriously. Let's be real.
So
that's it. That's all we got. Wait, real quick. That's the only apology we got.
Yeah,
that decent doo-doo movie, Cheetah. Yeah. That's it.
So Patty apparently included thank yous to like a lot of the contributors of the Wonder Woman comics over the years, including actual creator William Moulton Marston. She also credited people like George Perez, Alex something, I can't read my writing, and Nicola Scott. Absent from the list was Liam Sharp, who is famously known as worked on both Wonder Woman and Cheetah in recent years. So he was the one who rebooted them at the New 52.
Okay.
Or no, the Rebirth. Sorry, the Rebirth.
I actually like Rebirth.
Yeah.
That was on camera. You saw that, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So Patty issued a weird apology, claiming that it was like a mistake and he was supposed to be on the list.
Oh, that's not a big deal. You forgot a name. So, Wonder Woman is decades and decades old, almost damn near a century old, and you forgot one name. Patty, relax.
But it was like a really weird. No, because the guy was upset.
Oh, Crimea River.
Yeah, but so it was like this really weird apology that like you could tell like he probably wasn't in the list.
Yeah.
But like she was like, "Oh, you're OG," something like that. Just like really made me cringe. But yeah, so she wasn't on the list. Midnight Sky doing well on Netflix. Zack Snyder shared some new photos of Wonder Woman in the Snyder Cut to kind of help promote Wonder Woman's films.
And they just dropped the trailer as well for episode 3.
So Soul movie, the Soul movie on Disney Plus is killing it, especially during this year's holidays. Good. Very much so killing it.
Good.
But yeah, so not a lot as far as like movies and TV go, but 2020 is over.
Yeah.
Oh, this is our first video of 2021 too.
Oh my God. Happy New Year, people. Yeah. This is our first full year of the show, and I'm very excited, and I can't believe we forgot about that. What's wrong with us? So we have a lot in store for you guys. We touched on it earlier. We have every intention of bringing the show out west. And we're constantly trying our best to improve and keep you happy. And we say it literally every time we get on camera. For God's sakes, comment, get into my DMs, hit us up. If you have critiques, you have suggestions, I just want to talk to you guys. If you're watching our show, especially if you're a reoccurring, if you consider yourself a fan, please talk to us. We're not like everybody else.
Yeah, please involve
I want to
yourself.
talk to you. Yes,
involve yourself. Comment. I always answer every comment on YouTube.
Absolutely. And if I get a single DM from anybody claiming they watched the show, bam, we'll have a conversation as long as you want to go. I'd love to talk to you.
But yeah, so I mean, just get involved, say hello, do your part. Whether you want to say
a loser like Homeboy did, I don't care.
Gaming with Greg loves justice so much. Man.
Shout out Greg, I love you.
Yeah,
he's probably watching.
Probably. He's the kid that I had to ban off the channel.
It's that same kid. Oh, yeah. Geez,
but I actually unbanned him recently. Because I want him to come back and say something.
Fanboy. He's a fan. He likes us.
But yeah, so I mean, get involved. Say your dues.
Please.
Critiques, feedback, whatever it may be. Guess what time it is?
Wait. Ready? Spotlight.
It is time for our Spotlight feature. Today, we are really pleased to announce that we're doing a Spotlight on the Green Lantern Corps. This is part 1 of the Green Lantern ring origin and like the Green Lantern origin.
So the idea is this one we're going to cover origins of Guardians, rings, and lanterns themselves, and what requires you to become a lantern. Part 2, the original idea was to discuss, similar to what we did with Mjolnir, to discuss why characters such as Superman, Wonder Woman, who are known to be pure of heart, even Barry Allen, that are known to be pure, good heroes, have never been chosen as lanterns. Why? Why Hal Jordan, who is specifically I mean, he's become a villain on several occasions.
He was paralyzed at one point.
Yeah, Hal Jordan, he became a Yellow Lantern at one point as well. Hal Jordan is by far the most flawed lantern I've ever seen. So why Hal? Why is the Ring choosing Hal? And that will part 2 will go into specifics about that.
Yeah. So I did a lot of digging for the stuff that I didn't already know, because Green Lantern is one of my favorite characters.
Me too.
In like the DC universe. So I took this. Yeah, I took this one like really to heart. And
excuse me.
In order to do a proper Green Lantern origin, you actually have to do a proper Guardian. And they call them. Did you actually know they were the Guardians of the Galaxy?
Were they? No, I did not know that. I always knew them as the Guardians.
Yeah, they've been called the Guardians of the Galaxy, the Guardians of the Universe. But,
really?
I think
that's not going to suit so well. Not anymore.
Not anymore. Yeah. So we're just going to shorten it to the Guardians. But the Guardians are the leaders of the Green Lanterns in Oa. They're an immortal race of sentient beings who forge the Rings of Power. The Rings of Power are the Green Lantern rings, also commonly known as the Rings of Power. Not to be confused with the Ring of Power in Lord of the Rings that Gollum is really obsessed with.
Precious?
My precious!
Oh, God, I was hoping you weren't going to do an impression.
I did. So the Guardians are known as the Guardians of the Universe, as I just said, or the Guardians of the Galaxy. They made their origin. So the funny thing about the Green Lanterns was we actually got a Green Lantern before we got the origin of like how the Green Lanterns came to place.
Refresh me on his name. It's Alan what?
Alan Scott.
Thank you.
Was the original Green Lantern. And at the time that Alan Scott came into the picture was like, it was All-Star Comics number 16, I believe, and that was in the 1940s.
Yes,
and at that time, the Green Lantern ring that was forged out of the Star Heart was more magical than technology. But during the Silver Age of comics, we get a legit origin story, which still technically counts as canon, because during Rebirth and the New 52 and everything that they've done, they never retold this story. So we can only assume that Secret Origins number 23 in 1988 is still canon.
Correct. As of recently, this is relevant. As of recently, their latest reboot, I guess you could call it, DC made it in the comic book line anyways. They made it so everything that's ever occurred is now canon.
Yeah.
In some way, shape, or form. So Alan Scott will exist as, yes, technically a Green Lantern, but he's not a Green Lantern. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. So this origin comes from the Crisis on Infinite Earths. Actually, it's kind of what led into Crisis of Infinite Earths. So the Guardians originated on a planet called Maltese, and I might be pronouncing it wrong, but it's Maltese. They were the first beings to live after the creation of the universe. So they were the first beings, blah, blah, blah. And they became so advanced that they started biologically engineering their offspring, like any creepy advanced species does, kind of like the Kryptonians started, with the what is it called?
I don't know. I don't think of Kryptonian lore.
The thing that's in Superman.
Are you talking about I know what you're talking about. I don't know what they're called. I don't really listen. I don't care about Superman too much.
I'll think of it eventually. So they biologically engineer their offspring, which down the line of the Codex. Sorry. So down the line of biologically engineering your offspring, they kind of created an almost immortal form, which then led to no more need for biologically engineering offspring. They just stopped making people because they became immortal. So this is how we get to our Guardians. Our Guardian race is the final they're the final people that they're the final form that the Maltevians took. So they were like the last new breed of Maltevians, who are immortal and they don't seem to age. So the Guardians relocated to Oa after a being named Kronos kind of splintered the universe. And this is where we get into the crisis part. So in an attempt to go back, very like he's interested in watching the birth of the universe. So in his attempt to do that, he toppled a lot of dominoes, and one of them, there's 3 dominoes that he toppled that are really, really serious. So first off, he led him doing his tests and experiments and trying to get back to that point in time led to the creation of the antimatter universe, which also led to the Anti-Monitor, who is famous for Crisis on Infinite Earths. The other domino that fell during his attempts to get back it was the creation of the literal, like, evil. Evil was created by him doing this. The essence of evil was created. That leads to so many different things, right? So all evil in the world or in the universe can be traced back to this event. And then, they left Maltese, and the Guardians ended up settling on Oa. And due to the essence of evil being created, they created, in a balancing act, they created a police force for the universe known as what we know now as the Green Lanterns. So, I mean, kind of comes full circle there. So they were now inhabiting Oa. They now had evil in the world, and they were an immortal race of like these genetically breeded offspring people.
Now, take into note that the Guardian, in case you guys aren't familiar, the Guardians they're more on the intelligence side of it. They're not the combative, right?
Yes.
So that's why the police force was necessary, the intergalactic police force, if you will. They again, like, the Guardians aren't really fighters. They're the knowledge of it. So they created the rings based off the emotional spectrum, which the Green Lanterns specify in willpower.
Yeah. So they harnessed it's like an emotional spectrum. They harnessed the power of will. So there is a couple different origins for Green Lanterns. We'll get into the first one with Alan Scott in a minute, but let's start talking about pre-Crisis on Infinite Earths. So Lanterns on Earth 1 were given pistols that had to be recharged in lantern-shaped batteries, beginning with Rohirras Rory. Rohirras is a place, and then Rory Dag received the first power ring. The other proto-Green Lanterns presumably were all given power rings and asked to join the new Green Lantern Corps soon after. So basically, before the rings, they carried pistols, like rechargeable pistols. That's the Green Lantern. But post-Crisis, the Lanterns always had the rings. But their predecessors, the Manhunters, were the ones who carried the pistols. So the Manhunters were the predecessors and eventually became the Green Lanterns. So that's how they kind of retconned it and it made it all fit together.
Manhunters, similar to
Martian.
Yes. Manhunter, yes.
Yes. So the Green Lantern, the Green Lantern rings, their place of creation is Oa in the Milky Way galaxy. Why they were created, they were formed by the Guardians to choose great-willed individuals who will serve as the Green Lantern Corps, also known as power rings. There were kind of 2 different rings, one like Alan Scott's ring, like we talked about, and one like Kyle Rayner's ring, which are the new, more widespread known rings.
Yep.
The new widespread known rings, they are connected to a central power battery in Oa. So they need to touch the lantern, the recharge for 10 seconds once every 24 hours. However, the Guardians do have their own rings. They have the Guardian rings, which harness the internal powers of like each individual. They don't need to be recharged. So the Guardians, they have their own rings that are a little bit more capable and they don't need to be recharged, even though 10 seconds doesn't seem like a long time once a day. I guess it is. That actually created a riff amongst the Green Lanterns, and they were like, why do we have these rings? You have these ones. You don't actually fight. Like, you don't go to protect. But we do, and we have to recharge it every 24 hours.
And it's interesting because the lantern, the rings, according to the way it's laid out to us, the rings choose themselves. The Guardians don't specifically choose. It's the ring. The ring it's incorporated into the ring that it will choose its next carrier. But these lanterns are and that's why these are very interesting characters, because they're so flawed. Hal Jordan is the prime example of that in Sinestro. They're flawed. They're very, he just said it caused a rift of jealousy and anger. And why do you have this and we don't? And they're not these like perfect. They're very much like our actual police force, right? That they're just people, right? They're very flawed and they do bad things sometimes. They're not always good guys. And that's really where the question that we're covering right now peaked itself, right? If the ring chooses and it looks for those of good of heart, and you could say pure of heart, how does such flawed individuals end up with such a great power, which really, in theory, is unlimited because it's based off of your personal willpower, right? Yeah. So in theory, on paper, this ring has infinite potential, and could any of the rings on the spectrum have infinite potential because they're all based off of an emotion.
Right. And depending on the bearer of the ring, the power ring it can almost do anything that you need it to.
Yeah.
It just depends on your willpower and your ability to control it.
Depending on which ring you're wearing.
Yes. Crafted from a star heart, which fell to Earth. This is the first one that we're talking about. Alan Scott's ring. So before they created the Guardian origin, all we had was Alan Scott. We didn't have a Green Lantern Corps. Mm-hmm. We had a Green Lantern who kind of took the name on himself after like the ring, like the lantern. So a piece of Starheart falls into like China or Japan. And they craft it into like a train, like it's on like the train tracks. It's like a lantern for like light.
Yep.
And Alan Scott's company is contracted to do some work on the train tracks or the train itself. And a jealous like competitor, someone who also has like a company that, whatever, there was some rift between the company. So the competitor sabotaged the train tracks, causing a train accident that Alan Scott ends up being the sole survivor to. During the wreckage, he kind of hears a voice, and it's the Starheart from the lantern thing telling him like how to create the ring itself. So he creates the ring and then realizes like, oh shoot, I have tapped into something crazy here. But it really did, like, we didn't get much of an explanation for where the ring came from, where it got its power. So it was really more of like a magical thing rather than something that had a technology side of it from Oa. And that was our Green Lantern for the golden age of comics. It wasn't until later on that we got the actual origin.
No, I want to make it abundantly clear that this was not DC's intent the entire time, because you can tell clearly because there are several similarities between Alan Scott and what we know as a Green Lantern today. For example, Alan Scott also needed that physical lantern to charge his ring. Also, one of his weaknesses, as silly as it is the color yellow. And now you see our later Green Lanterns play off of that by making the Yellow Lantern Corps, which based off of fear, which is a direct enemy of willpower, right? If you're fearful, your will fall, right? It will deplete. It will become less because of that. So it's an interesting, clever way to play, take what they have from Alan Scott and play off of it in new Green Lanterns. I just want to make it abundantly clear that this was not their intention this whole time. And as you come to notice, as we keep talking about this, you'll notice DC has this tendency to like kind of, you know, reboot and try to mesh things, you know?
Yeah. 2005 saw Jeff Johns like literally. I mean, now you have blue lantern, indigo lanterns.
Yes, blue, pink.
Red.
Oh, I'm sorry, violet. Excuse me, violet. Yep.
But he did it in a clever way where like a blue lantern and a green lantern, if they like a blue lantern's ring will allow a green lantern's ring to work to like its full capability.
Yes.
So like, like there's different combinations. And then you got for a little one-off, there's actually only one orange lantern, and he's a very selfish person, and he made a deal with the Guardians to like be left alone.
Yeah. He's essentially Gollum.
Yeah. He's basically. Gollum. And so he has like a one-off Halloween story that you can read somewhere. I can't remember what it's called, but
so if I'm not mistaken, though, he played a pretty big part in Blackest Night. No,
Blackest Night is a different kind of thing, though. Blackest Night was like a culmination story, but as far as
introduced to the spectrum.
Yeah, as far as the Orange Lantern goes, like there's not much to go off of.
You're working with one guy. But the Orange Ring is capable of quite a bit.
Yeah, I think
it's a powerful ring.
Yeah, I think that like a solid, besides green and yellow, I think probably the next best one is the Rage, the Red Lanterns. They even have a new run that's going on right now.
Yeah, they do, because they got popular. Yeah.
Yeah, so the Red Lanterns, you know, that Rage is a really powerful emotion.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Orange is quite powerful as well. Orange has the ability to it's not like, it's kind of like mind control, right? Like he has the ability to control like an army using it. So he really he just needs himself, right? Like in all actuality, again, these rings are so powerful because they are based off emotions. So if you were strong in that emotion, rage, fear, will, whatever it may be, hope, you will be a godlike being.
Yeah. And again, so all the new, like the lantern cores and stuff, that's a fairly new thing. That's centered around Jeff Johns and the Blackest Night story. Yeah. However, so the origin for Green Lantern is, it was July of 1940 in All American Comics number 16. Humans, or, people who have been Green Lanterns, consist of Alan Scott, which is the first one in 1940. You have Guy Gardner, Kyle Rayner, Hal Jordan, John Stewart, Simon Baz, and Jessica Cruz. Before the Silver Age of comics, when Alan Scott wore the ring, like I said, it was more magical, but now we get to that more widespread, known, more common ring. So all of these people were chosen by a ring to become Green Lanterns. Some of them were even lanterns during the other one's run.
Yeah. John Stewart and Hal were lanterns
at the same time.
And Guy Gardner was part of that as well.
Yep. So you, as a lantern now, not before, but as a lantern now, you receive a ring and a sector of the universe to protect.
Yes. You get your own little district.
Yes.
Now, just real quick before you keep going, who's your lantern?
Hal. It's just the way it is. Yeah, it's just the way it is, though.
Yeah.
Hal,
John Stewart.
But like he had said before, Hal's been a bad person before.
Several times.
Yeah, he took on the name of Parallax at one point.
Yep. Yellow Lantern at one
Yellow
point.
Lantern.
Yeah, he's not a good guy.
And what's funny is one of the things I was doing some research on, all of a sudden it came up was that whole Scarecrow being a Yellow Lantern thing.
Yeah, I know. And I was so excited about that. I thought I had an original thought by we tried to do our own what if thing. But everything I wrote down, I not even a joke. Literally, everything I wrote down has already been done at some point.
Yeah.
And Scarecrow was one of them, getting a fear ring. And I thought it was such a cool idea. And I was like, yo, DC's going to want to hire me after this one, blah, blah, blah. Sure as shit, they did it already.
Yeah. But yeah, so next week we're going to really dive into what it takes to be a lantern, the characteristics of Alan Scott, Guy Gardner, Kyle Rayner, Hal Jordan, John Stewart, Simon Baz, Jessica Cruz, Ivan Sewer, Kilowog, Sinestro.
So the main, it's Sinestro and Hal are really the two I'm going to focus on. And then I would also like to focus on Wonder Woman and Superman.
Yeah.
The goal here is to do a common, do one of those map things, right? What differences, similarities, right? So I want to find out what it is characteristic wise that chose them, but not them. You know, and so we're gonna go into some deep detail about this. I'm gonna spend the entire week on doing my research for this one because I'm curious.
I am curious to see if a Kryptonian's ever been chosen. Because
and I don't
Kryptonian lantern, I mean, that's a no-brainer.
It's a wrap.
However, there's not a lot of Kryptonians left is the problem.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Superman is the prime example of what a Kryptonian should be. Or even if you gave any of the League members a ring, it's a wrap. You gave Barry Allen a ring, it's over. Wonder Woman, it's over. Batman, it's over.
Green Arrow's worn the
he has, yes.
And
Black Canary wore it.
Black Canary worn it in the animated movies.
Well, no, Black Canary also had it in the Deceased run.
Oh no, that's where I saw it.
Yeah,
that's where I just read all of those.
Yeah, I haven't read them yet.
That's where it was from, not the movies.
Yeah. And then Batman and the recent oh my god Dark Knight oh my god the
Rebirth?
Metal run. No, Metal. Batman was he was using a black ring. It was amazing.
Oh wait, is that the one where he was like the god?
No. He became the god. No, that's the god of knowledge that Batman became. This is the most. Remember, I mentioned earlier that their current run is making everything canon.
Yeah, that's
what I'm talking about. Blackest Metal, I believe, or why am I having such a? It's Dark Knight Metal or something along the Metal run.
Okay,
it's DC's Metal run, and Batman main continuity of Batman wields a Black Lantern ring, and it's amazing. It's the coolest thing I've ever seen in my life.
Yep. So black is death, white is life, and then so on and so forth. But I'm actually really excited for next week because I am too.
And I've been waiting to do this one.
Yeah, we'll pick who we'll take a couple characters out of the League each and a couple Green Lanterns and kind of do like a pro and con, not a similarity, contrast and compare. And
yes,
we'll really,
that's perfect. There it is. That's what I was looking for. Contrast and compare. There it is.
And we'll figure out when we get down to the bottom of. We'll spend a good amount of time next week on doing that. Yeah. But with that said, we are running out of time for today.
We went long,
guys. So we'll pick that up next week. I can't thank you enough for joining us today. Next week's episode, you can catch that or this week's episode. If you go to the website, it has all of our current. It has our most recent podcast episodes and the YouTube clips. So if you go to the website, you can find everything you need: articles, YouTube, and podcast audio. That's kind of like the central hub now. But follow us on Twitter, follow us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, follow us on Snapchat, follow us on all that. Take us on the go or immerse yourself with our whole show. And if you'd like to contribute, there is a way you can do that with a small monthly donation. And it helps towards like getting this arm thing.
It all goes to the show.
It all goes to the show.
It does not go in a single pocket. It doesn't go in my pocket. It doesn't go in his pocket. It doesn't go in Jack's pocket. It goes to the show. It goes to entertaining you.
Yes. And like he said, we do it for you and we do it for the culture.
Do it for the culture.